Okay, transform tool part 2. Control T, we know, activates the anchor points and shows you the box, transform box. Inside, it's a move tool, right? Outside it, excuse me, it's a rotational tool. I'm going to rotate it like that, just so it's kind of sort of level, kind of pleasing to the eye. And if you hold the shift key down, when you move this now, it constrains it and it moves it straight up like that. I like that. And then I hit enter. Now here's where we start. Watch this. Let me get rid of this so we don't get too confused. It's easy to get confused in Photoshop when you're just beginning. And remember, frustration is normal. Just remember that we never let frustration get in the way of learning what we need to learn, and we never stop learning. Photoshop is a continuing exercise in education. All right, having said that, that's my tulip. I'm going to do this. Control J, call it tulip copy, and then Control T. That's the methodology, Control J, Control T. I'm going to take this center anchor point and put it down here on the guides. Hold it down here and hold the shift key and click it twice, drag it twice so that it goes in 30 degrees. And you'll see right here we have 30 degrees up here at the top. Hit enter. Alright, Control J repeats the process of putting the copy on a second layer. Control T activates it. Again, move the rotation tool to the center of the document. Come outside, hold the shift key, click it twice. And the check mark. The methodology, or the I've lost my mind, is Control J again, Control T, move to center. Doesn't have to be perfect. 1, 2. Now, what you start to see is you've got this pattern. We're making like a circular kind of a a tulip bouquet, if you will. I don't know what else to call it. So now you see where we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 based on that. Look, here's another thing about the transform tool. If I do this, I can do all of them at the same time, all 4 layers. Be careful not to select the background. I can move this to the center, hold the shift key, and if I want to, move the entire unit. That's very handy. I'm going to do escape. How can we put that to good use? Well, we can take this little thing and say new group from layers and call it tulip 1, right? And then we're going to take that layer and click and drag it and copy that layer, right? Stay with me. Control T, and now we can do what we did on the individual layers. This is the beauty of Photoshop. Once you know your way around, look what you can do. And all of a sudden, you're doing a lot less work and getting a lot of stuff done all at one time. I'm going to click and drag that and make one more layer. Do Control T on this one. Move my center point back to the center again. Hold the shift key and move it into position. And there's I'll turn off the guides, Control semicolon. You now see that you can make a piece of art very quickly that's different, unique, odd, creative, any way you want to characterize it, very quickly in Photoshop if you know your way around those tools, okay? And all of this came from that. So the lesson here is you don't need to have something really fancy. You can have something very simple and basic to start with and turn it into something else, yeah? All right, so that's it for that part of the selection tool. If you want to put all of these in one folder, you can, by simply going here and say new group from layers, it's this little square linear line thing, and say tulips. Okay, I put an extra S on unimportant. Spelling is not my forte. All right, so the reason you would do that is now when you do Control T, you can link it and shrink it, and hold the Shift key if you want. But of course you don't really need to because you've linked it. And I'm just going to make it 50%. And you can type in 50. There's a lot of different ways. You could just go here and you can use your down arrow to make it individual degrees. You could type in 50 and you'd be done with it. Enter or check mark allows you to do that. And then because they're in their own folder as a group, that whole group now moves. That whole group moves. And again, that's, it's pretty cool. So just so you know how that works, then of course you drop it down there at center. And in terms of getting real fancy, you can just make a new blank layer and call it color, and pick any color here, and on that layer say edit fill. Of course there's a Shift 5, there's a shortcut for that, and say foreground color and say OK, right? And that's how you do that. If you didn't like that, you could take this background square, click that to get that color here, and make a lighter version of that color and say OK. And with your gradation tool here, you see foreground to background, and this one is called linear, and you can just start here and hold the Shift key and do something like that. And if you don't like it light on top, you can have it light on the bottom, like that. And if you don't like that, start it at center and drag it down, right? So this is just another way to use the transform tool. I'm going to do a quick look at the toolbox when we're done. Okay, that's it.